it's time to talk about what has been dubbed Twitter's favorite award because we're talking about the top ships in what we've watched in the year of 2022.
Oh boy.
Now, if you don't understand what a ship is for those who are actually normal or have a life, a ship is a relationship or an implied relationship between two characters in a show. It doesn't necessarily have to be straight. It can be, two men, two women, a man and a woman, and anything else in between. We like to keep it wide open, but we usually like to imply that it is romantic, somewhat romantic. We don't really include friendships onto this list. It's mainly romantic type of relationships. So we got to start it off with our number 3. I want to pass that baton to Eli.
All right. So obviously we won't be talking about the shows that these relationships are in, just purely the relationships. So if you want to hear about the show, either go watch it or check out our reviews and hear us rant. The first or third, I guess, on this list will be Hinata and Takemichi from Tokyo Revengers. In the show, he is traveling back in time to save his, spoiler alert, his deceased ex-girlfriend, who was killed by basically the Yakuza. We're just following the relationship of him trying to make amends in the past. Again, spoiler alert, fucking up every single time and getting her killed every single time. We will see what season 2 entails. But basically trying to make things right, and the amendment between the two, between going back into the past and coming back into the future, is really good, honestly. And he kind of turns from, the guy that was in the past into this mindless drone when he goes back into the future. So it's just that balance between, does he actually care for her, and is he that mindless drone? And how that kind of ties together will determine how much of a leg this relationship has to stand on. But that's to be seen. And when they are clicking, they're clicking on all cylinders, and that's why it's in the top 3.
It's time for number 2. And like I stated in the preamble to this, it doesn't always have to be a straight relationship. We're going to go with something here that is 2 women. In an amazing show called Arcane, we're talking about the relationship between V and Caitlyn, or the implied one there. Now, obviously they didn't get together because there's a lot going on in that plot of the show, so romance is probably the last thing on their minds as far as classical dating and relationship things. But the connection these two shared throughout the show is very obviously hinted towards being more than just friends. They very much like each other, are interested, and they have a very cute dynamic. You get the classic, the lady and the tramp kind of thing. You get this person, V, who is from the streets, real grimy, fighter, fights for everything they ever had, real evolutionary character, just hard ass, right? And then you get Caitlyn, who comes from this very well-off, privileged, high-class family. She's trying to become what V is, but she can't because the family doesn't want her to be put into danger and keeps her back from progressing in the military police of the city. And you get these two clashing, basically. You get V seeing Caitlyn having everything she's ever wanted, which is stability, to be able to enjoy her family. And then Caitlyn sees V being everything she's ever wanted, in this ultimate warrior, going through and doing whatever they need to and being a badass. And it's just awesome to see them connect by what they care about and showing them that the grass isn't always greener. While V is this tough person, she has a lot of destruction in her life and hurt, especially when it comes to her sister, because she couldn't protect them and was kind of an asshole because of that hard exterior she has. And then you see Caitlyn talking about how having everything doesn't necessarily mean your family's still going to be good, because the problem she faces with her parents and everything. It's a super interesting dynamic, and they tackled it amazingly well in Arcane, and that's why I fought for this to be so high at number 2 in our top relationships award.
I hope they go somewhere with that in season 2.
I'm excited to see what they do with that as well. But that leads us to number 1 once again, and we promise there's no recency bias on this, even though it's the most recent thing that we saw. But our winner for the top ship, Twitter's favorite award this year, is Ushio and Shinpei from Summertime Rendering. These two also have a phenomenal dynamic. The show is based, kind of loosely, around not so much their relationship in a sense, but not even dynamic, but just, yes, the dynamic between the two of them. I'm sorry. Because Shinpei, the entire loop that he is in, spoilers, the entire loop that he's in throughout this entire time starts when he comes back for Ushio's funeral because Ushio died. And then throughout the show, we get Shadow Ushio, who is the person or thing that Shinpei spends most of his time with, reconnecting and rebuilding that relationship because Shadow Ushio has all of the memories of the real Ushio, and this is a broken simulation or whatever, basically. And so the dynamic between the two of them and how much we see that both of them cared for each other all that time, even when Shinpei left, they both regretted the way that things ended originally between them, even though they weren't dating. This is kind of one of those brother boyfriends almost, like we talked about earlier, but not as weird for some reason. But Shinpei is kind-hearted and sweet, and he very obviously cares for Ushio more than he cares for anybody else, including himself, which is beautiful. And he puts everything on the line just to save her, basically, more than the other people in the end. But he's trying to get Ushio back, and he thinks that he can get the real Ushio back. And Ushio, in her shadow form, is still pretty much in love with Shinpei. And all the things that she does, she protects him personally and everyone else, but she continues to fight for Shinpei and his affection and his love. And it's just beautiful seeing the way that those two connect and work together in unison. And then, you know, even when they're apart, they're trying to get back together. And it's just beautiful the entire time. I love these two. It's also very wholesome that they had a great friendship growing up that they show throughout the show in the flashbacks and everything else. They've been around each other for a long time. And I like friendships / relationships like that a lot. That's why this one is at number 1.
It also has one of the most beautiful ending scenes in that show with the fireworks and them holding hands and embracing in front of amazingly lit up lights. It was one of the best picturesque relationship moments you could ever ask for.
You damn right.
Yeah.
And now we got to put it toe to toe against one of our biggest hitters of all time.
It's just not going to happen, bro.
Yeah, we got to put this up against Jonas and Marta's relationship from Dark, which we watched year 1. So that is a 2-time champ going into this fight. Ushio and Shinpei is a great warrior. They are a good boxer. I've seen them outclass many opponents to be here. But sadly, I don't have them beating Jonas and Marta on this.
Shit, we even got to ask, bro. Neither do I.
You know, in the end, it's not that tough, but they're in similar situations, if you think about it. I just think that Jonas and Marta had to go through a lot more for theirs, and theirs was much more exciting and interesting. It's definitely Jonas and Marta with the clean sweep.
3-time. Not 2-time.
That's the second 3-time, baby. Second 3.